harvesting, you got to be crazy to be doing it. It's almost like you're just a little boy that's grown up and you're playing with bigger toys in the sandbox than you did when you were little.
The harvest life is so spontaneous and so not planned from day to day.
There's a lot of adverse and strange conditions that throw themselves at us in harvest. Rain, equipment breakdowns, you name it.
The main thing is to get that grain into the bin.
You could have a hailstorm tonight and the crop could be gone. If it's still standing in the field, you never know what's going to happen to it. My name is Bo Fraze, and I'm the owner of Fraze Brothers Inc., which is a custom harvesting business. Been in business since 1943. Custom harvesting is a service that we provide. We harvest crops that farmers have planted and just don't have the manpower or the equipment to harvest themselves. They may not be able to justify purchasing a $600,000 or $700,000 combine, whereas we're keeping them busy for several months. We can justify that cost and come in and actually do it cheaper than what a farmer would be able to do. You'd never know what the weather's going to bring. You could have a hailstorm tonight and the crop could be gone. If they get it out quickly, the crop's already in the bin, in the elevator, and taken care of. If it's still standing in the field, you never know what's going to happen to it. A typical day on harvest, it really varies a lot, but generally during wheat harvest season, we'll leave our trailer houses at 8 o'clock in the morning, travel out to the field and put fuel in combines, look over equipment, make sure everything's ready to go. Any little challenge that comes up usually kind of has a ripple effect throughout the operation. For example, if a truck has a flat tire somewhere out on the road, not only do we have a flat tire to deal with, but now that truck didn't make it back to the field when it was supposed to. Maybe we have combines with full bins that are sitting waiting in the field instead of continuing to cut. It's almost like a dance where everybody has to be working together and each piece of equipment is working together to make it all happen successfully.
I am Rebecca Fraze, and I am part of Fraze Brothers Inc. And I don't have one role. My main duty, I guess, I'm the cook, and I bring out meals to our crew. There's about 15 of us I'm cooking for, and in 2 different fields, and so that can mean a lot more driving time. It takes up most of the day. When I first started, I was only a couple years older than some of these guys, but yet still in a mom-ish role. It's neat, some of the conversations that we have with our guys. It could be anything from giving relationship advice, teaching things like how to do their laundry. We don't pack the washing machine full. We don't push it down, and your clothes aren't gonna get clean. But it is a weird dynamic to be. I have my own kids who are little, but then I have my big boys too.
It brings a family atmosphere not only to me and them, but also to the crew. They kind of get a mother figure out of my wife with her bringing meals to the field. A lot of my guys come from different parts of the country, and it's pretty common for some of them to get homesick, especially early in the season. But having my wife along, having my kids along that are almost like little brothers to some of them, it's just more of a family atmosphere that helps them adjust better.
I try for birthdays to make it a little bit like home, because I know a lot of the guys' moms worry about their kids, And so I try to find out their birthdays, ask them whatever dessert they want, and to try to make it a little more homey, and to make mothers and families a little more at peace that their sons are out here and being taken care of.
It helps with getting the work done, but I think it's just also the right way to treat people. And I want to show that to others so that they'll show it to the people they know. It just spreads from there.
I have 6 sons, and all 6 of them have been in the harvesting. My great-grandson's 12. He's running a 40-foot combine. So I started out with a 14-foot combine, and now they're running clear up to 50 foot. It's a completely different ball game. Computers, no computers then.
Started out, basically, it was a mechanical business, but now there's lots of electronics, computers, and things like that come into it.
Watching technology change in the machines it's been an interesting change. I remember when I was first running equipment, a lot of what you went by was just the sound of the machine. And if that sound changed a little bit, you had to realize what was making that change and if that was okay or not, or what it meant, or what adjustments you had to make. But as I'm training these new guys and even training my kids in them, you know, they're looking on that screen and noticing a change on the screen and then adjusting according to that. I was just in the combine the other day with my oldest and looking at the engine load percentage. Okay, you see it on the screen, can you also hear that? Because it sounds different when the engine is working harder. And making him realize that there's a correlation between those two things, that even if you didn't have that screen, there's still ways to know what's going on.
Sometimes I wish this old simple machines could run, because when a computer breaks down, it's unbelievable what damage that can do.
Just about every day there's some little thing that doesn't go right that comes up we have to deal with, from bearings to go out, or flat tires, or a GPS not working, or some kind of communication device that needs to be dealt with, so that everybody's on the same page and we all know what each other are doing and can keep the equipment running efficiently and together to make sure it all keeps moving.
My name is Brad Befford. I'm the owner of Brad Befford Harvesting. Really the last 3 years now, I think, we've pretty much done it, my 4 children and I myself. And my wife stays at home and takes care of everything at the farm. They would go along when they were 10 years old at first, and then they would go with me. We'd go to Oklahoma. They would go for a week or 2, maybe 3 weeks, till they got burned out and they're ready to come home. Sarah would come pick them up and take them home. And then by the time they were 11 or 12, they would be running a combine full time.
Whitney was the first one of our children to get her CDL, and we've been told by people, man, I just could not believe there was a girl behind the wheel of that truck. She drives better than most of the other people at the elevator.
I've had a lot more people be just totally amazed that I can do this, especially other girls I know. I wish there were more women who did drive. I think it's something that has been stereotypically a male-dominated theme, but I really like doing it, and I wouldn't let other people's judgment keep me from doing it for sure.
Whitney, Tessa, Brooke, and Eli, they could, as far as I'm concerned, they could pretty much run this without me if they had to. A couple years ago, 3 years ago, I got sick when we were up in Nebraska, and the kids pretty much ran the operation while I was gone.
Well, I was just about to start my senior year of high school, but it was still extremely daunting when the one day he just got so sick, we literally had to take him to the hospital. Without my siblings, I wouldn't have been able to make it through it for sure.
That probably comes up as one of the things that surprises a lot of people, is that I will hire guys who may not have been in any equipment like this before, and yeah, put them in equipment that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, and train them for a little bit and say, okay, here you go. It takes a little faith in them. It takes a little faith in the hiring process, and knowing that I've hired the right people. If I know they care about the job they're doing, I don't have to worry about it too much, because they're going to take care of it, and they're going to ask questions before things get tore up too much.
If you had the right attitude and everything, we can teach you the rest. But if you come out just as a job and you don't really care about it, it's going to be a struggle.
I had a lot of help that weren't familiar and didn't, I don't know anything about mechanics. I heard that so often. Well, here, I'll show you. And then, well, yeah, I can do that.
I've hired high school kids from like Hayes that had never been on a combine, and they were incredible help. But my kids, they had the experience riding with me from when they were little kids, and now the kids are so experienced, they know, they know where we're going, they know where the fields are, they just know how the equipment works. And like I said, they know a lot more now than they did when they first started about repairing things. So it's probably less nerve-wracking having them learn than a lot of the inexperienced help that I would have.
That is one thing I think is definitely very different between us and probably other custom harvesting groups, because we're a bunch of children pretty much, or at least I'm not anymore, but the amount of times we've stopped combines to go chase down a baby bunny and put it out to the edge of the field. I don't know if other people do that, but that is something we do. I'm not going to kill a baby bunny, but the amount of times we've had combines stopped for silly things like that, it's just like, oh man. But it's okay.
Raising a family on harvest is definitely different than the norm, than what most people get. And I know my kids are missing out on baseball, on other summer activities at home, and I did too as a kid. He's getting a different experience than most kids, but in a lot of ways, I think it's better.
I know there are things that they're missing back home, but I don't know if they really realize it because they were born into it. We formed friendships with other harvesters who have kids our own age. Down in our first stop in Vernon, we're in a fairly large RV park, and there's quite a few other harvesters and around the same ages actually. And they have what we call is their bicycle gang. So the Vernon bicycle gang that, kind of one or two will come around, stop at a trailer, get a few more, and then keep going. And then there's just this herd of kids biking around. So they have their harvest friends.
When I was younger, it bothered me more, but as I grew up, I also I got a phone at one point, so I could stay in contact with people better during the summer when I was away. And I mean, no one else gets to experience this, so it's something I can come back and tell everyone about my travels. It's definitely something I don't regret going on, and I'd go again when I was 10, so.
I mean, if they weren't around, if they had to stay back home, it'd be a long time away from them, which I wouldn't appreciate. I don't know if I'd stay in the business that way. I think it'd be too hard on the family. They become a part of the process and a part of the crew, really.
That was one of the main things I think as we were dating that I really liked, was that they would be able to see their dad work, and they could go to work with their dad and be involved in the same work. And it wasn't just bring your son or daughter to work day. It could be all the time, and we could do it together.
My son Bo was born during harvest, and when my wife went into labor, we hopped in the car, and 10 miles from the hospital, my wife realized she had false labor. So we go to the checkups and everything, and we have all this stuff still going on in Oklahoma. And the doctor knew of a guy that was studying to get his pilot's license. Didn't actually have his pilot's license. And he offered to fly me back to southern Oklahoma. And so I just got in with him and somewhere during the course, we got off course. And so I had him just fly down, and we looked at the name on a water tower to find out where we were at. And since I knew the area, I told him, well, you're 30 miles off course. So he put himself back on course. And then we flew into a thunderstorm, and he let me know that I'm really supposed to land, but if I land, they won't let me take off again since I'm a learning pilot. And so we flew through the storm and got there safely. And I think a couple of days later, then Bo was born. And so that's just one of the kids. But you know, there were stories like that with all of them, and that's just some of the things you go through. You make a way when it looks there's no way. You figure out how to make it work.
We all know the gravity of what can happen. You have the stories every couple of years of someone getting injured or killed, and it's a reality. And not that we want to push it to the side or anything, but it's something that we have to accept, but yet keep moving forward. With a younger kid, you know, he knows a lot, but he's still a kid. And so that's where I have to just trust that there's people watching out for him, and like his dad is seeing his ability and where he can be.
That's why when they would start out, they were right by my side. And even then, you know, something can happen. But to me, that's the risk you have to take to let them learn how to do it.
There's things that he's getting it done, but he's not catching all the pieces of it yet. And it makes me wonder, did I just think I was catching all the pieces and doing it all right? Or was I missing a lot too?
You know, we just kind of all said, you know, they grow up around it. And their dads know their talents and their abilities, and kids rise to expectations.
It is extremely daunting. You just have to really put yourself out there and learn how to drive, because it's a very large, long thing that you just have to be able to work with other people, especially driving.
But it also is a sense of pride, I guess, to see your 12-year-old walk out by himself to a combine and be able to start it up and make it function and contribute to the business.
With harvesting, you got to be crazy to be doing it. It's almost like you're just a little boy that's grown up and you're playing with bigger toys in the sandbox than you did when you were little. And you have to love it. You really have to love it, because I think it's almost like people get a rush from it. It's a, you know how people say you get something in your blood no matter what it is. You get it in your blood doing it.
It actually kind of becomes an addiction almost. You know, it's a lifestyle that we're used to, and you realize that if you do change, you're going to miss that traveling. You're going to miss your friends on the way.
I also just like the feeling of accomplishment of, you know, seeing a crop out in the field and knowing if this is going to go into our food supply, somebody has to be there to get this work done before weather comes in, before, you know, something else happens.
I always tell people it's like I feel like I'm a gypsy for 2 months out of the year. I get to go follow the harvest, and the best part are the customers. It's like they're excited to see you every time you come back, and they're like, you become friends with them.
I feel like I could travel over multiple states and stop almost anywhere and have someone I could give a call that I've got a relationship with to say, hey, I'm on the side of the road, I need help, or, you know, whatever it is, and there's somewhere through hundreds of miles here that I could call that I've built relationships with over the last couple of decades.
And there's a lot of farms that, you know, I almost consider being the same as like my farm, because I'm there every year for that deal, and I'm welcomed in the whole community because I'm a part of that.
Some of our customers have gotten too old, they're not in farming anymore. When we go back to where they were, we still stop if we can find a minute and sit down with them and visit with them while we're there. So yeah, it's almost like they become family to you as well.
As of the last year or two, I've seen a lot greater interest from my kids in continuing on this business. They're kids, they have a lot of interest in being a lot of different things, and I think that's all good and healthy. As they've started to be a little bit more involved and, get their hands dirty, get their hands on a steering wheel, they've gained interest, and that's kind of exciting to see and fun to watch.
I want them to have the opportunity and to see it as a positive opportunity. They have so many interests right now. It could change from week to week, and we want to be able to support that, whatever it is.
I'm hoping that if my kids help take over any of them, that I can go along as long as I can be of help. And if nothing else, if they go, and when I'm too old to help, they can drag me along and I can try to cook supper for them, if nothing else.
If they choose to go into something else, I want them to find something that they can provide for their families. If it's this one, that'd make me happy, but if they choose something else, I'm okay with that too.
So I've always had kind of an interesting image, an awesome image in my opinion, of helping my future spouse also drive trucks and having the car seat and the front seat with a baby, or a toddler. I just think that'd be really fun. So I really hope I get to also give my future children the same experience I had growing up and take them in the semis, take them in the combine, tractor, whatever, just also getting them out in the harvest field for sure.
It's pretty cool to watch my 12-year-old be able to hop in a machine and do what he's doing now, and he's getting a little guidance from me and a little guidance from the other guys, but he's taking it on and he's getting it done.
When I was a kid growing up, I'd see all those custom cutters going by with combines on their trailers, and I always wanted to be that person, and that's why I don't ever want to give it up.
I'd have to say that I just think I'm very proud of it. I think it's given our whole family something special, but especially our kids. They're just getting a well-rounded experience of learning hard work and a greater appreciation of land, country, people, and agriculture. Predictability is not something on your side. Rain, equipment breakdowns, you name it. Life is like that too. You can make all the best plans in the world, but you've got to be ready to go with the changes when they hit you.
The harvest season is a go, go, go sacrifice season because there's one purpose on harvest, and that ranks above everything else, and then other things file under it. It's a unique lifestyle.